I explored the Olmec mystery in considerable depth.
Could you explain that to people that maybe
in Fingerprints of the Gods? Yes. So it's considered to be the earliest high culture of Central America. Everybody's heard about the Aztecs. Everybody's heard about the Maya. But before the Aztecs and before the Maya, there were a culture who are referred to as the Olmecs. Sitting in the middle of it is this human figure who's holding this strange bag in his hand. And it's just a fact that those identical bags are found in ancient Sumer in the hands of individuals who were considered to be civilization bringers. And they also show up on Pillar 43 at Göbekli Tepe.
For centuries, the symbols carved by the ancient Olmec civilization have remained a puzzle. Found on stone blocks, monuments, and ceremonial objects, these markings were thought to be artistic or religious. But now, a new breakthrough has changed everything. A hybrid quantum artificial intelligence has reportedly uncovered patterns hidden within these mysterious Olmec glyphs. And what it's finding is not only astonishing, it's potentially dangerous. This new system analyzes information buried in the past for over 3,000 years. These symbols, created by Mesoamerica's oldest known high culture, are now giving up their secrets not to human scholars, but to a machine trained to recognize patterns no human could. And the results are beginning to rewrite history. An ancient code awakened by machines. The Olmecs came long before the Maya and Aztecs. They left behind strange, undeciphered markings that have baffled experts for generations. These symbols seem to resist every effort at translation. But now researchers at a major university in Veracruz, Mexico, have teamed up with an advanced AI platform that operates in a radically different way. This isn't just another machine learning tool. It's a hybrid system, combining symbolic recognition, celestial data models, and natural language processing. Instead of translating word by word, it finds links between symbol clusters and known astronomical cycles, environmental patterns, and ancient cultural practices. And what it's uncovering is shocking. The system found a recurring symbol it called the sun serpent. This figure appears again and again alongside seasonal markers. The AI connected it to the Venus cycle, a cosmic event deeply important to later Mesoamerican civilizations like the Maya. If true, it means the Olmecs had advanced knowledge of celestial events hundreds of years earlier than anyone believed. The machine also found a possible lunar and solar tracking system embedded in the glyphs. These patterns suggest the Olmecs could measure solstices, eclipses, and other cosmic alignments with incredible accuracy. If confirmed, these discoveries push back the timeline of scientific knowledge in the Americas by centuries. Symbols with purpose, not decoration. But this wasn't just art or myth. The AI began to show that the symbols were structured. One figure, a spiral, repeatedly appeared next to shapes that may be energy diagrams or ceremonial plans. The symbol was found across several different Olmec sites, far apart from each other, suggesting a shared symbolic system, possibly a form of early writing. Some believe it may represent water sources, mineral locations, or sacred zones. Others think it encodes farming knowledge tied to seasons and celestial movement. Whatever the meaning, it now seems clear. The Olmecs weren't just sculpting decorative patterns. They were documenting information, perhaps spiritual, perhaps scientific. And that's when everything changed. Silence from the experts. A top researcher from a respected lab in Mexico City suddenly requested a freeze on all publications about the decoding. Internal memos revealed deep concern about the speed of the discoveries and what they could mean. One email read, "The implications are too serious to rush forward." Why the sudden halt? Leaked discussions from secure academic forums began to reveal why. The machine had identified structured mathematical information, not myths. Some of the decoded glyphs describe quantities, directions, and terrain. Others appeared to mark natural resources. This wasn't storytelling, it was data. One expert said the symbols looked like a form of early environmental engineering. They connected certain glyphs with landforms across the Olmec heartland. The findings suggested land use planning, water management, and possibly even crop forecasting. If true, the Olmec were not only artists, but engineers, builders of systems, scientists of the land, and they recorded it all in symbols we're only now starting to understand. Hidden knowledge still useful today. But something even more troubling began to emerge. Some of these glyphs might describe where to find minerals, water, or fertile ground, resources still valuable in our world today. If the AI fully decodes these systems, who owns that knowledge? One expert warned, we might be unlocking a map of resources that are still beneath our feet. Others expressed concern over ownership, ethics, and access. Powerful interests have already made inquiries. Major agricultural companies want to know if the Olmec recorded how to grow food in droughts, rotate crops, or manage pests without chemicals. The system might be revealing secrets of sustainable farming, knowledge refined over thousands of years in harmony with tropical climates. If that's true, the value of this information is staggering. But so are the risks. The spiral, the seed, and something more. Among the countless symbols analyzed by the quantum AI, one shape kept reappearing, a spiral. At first it seemed simple, but as the AI mapped its appearance across artifacts, a strange pattern emerged. This spiral was often paired with symbols for life, fertility, and continuity. That alone would be interesting, but what stunned researchers was how the AI classified the spiral's form. It closely resembled a double helix, the shape of DNA. The Olmecs, of course, could not have known about DNA. But the AI pointed out how this symbol often appeared with numerical markers tracking what looked like generational change. This led some researchers to an unexpected theory. Could the Olmecs have been observing biological traits passed down over time, perhaps in plants or even family lines? Was this symbol encoding patterns of selective breeding or hereditary knowledge? One team member dismissed it at first as a computer glitch, but the data kept repeating. Wherever the spiral appeared, so did signs of lineage, growth, and agricultural evolution. The consistency was too precise to be random. Thermal energy and stone structures. Another discovery brought even more shock. The AI identified a triangle inside a circle, an unusual symbol found in carvings near basalt quarries. When researchers mapped this shape's locations, they noticed a stunning connection. These symbols were found near areas with natural heat, hot springs, volcanic soil, thermal vents, and many were tied to places where the Olmecs moved massive stone blocks to build their monuments. This raised a radical question. Did the Olmecs understand thermal properties of the land? Were they choosing their building sites based not just on religion or geography, but on energy? The AI suggested this triangle circle glyph may have marked ideal places for extracting and shaping basalt, using heat and geological properties. If that's true, it implies knowledge far more advanced than previously believed. Not just observing, but engineering. Taken together, these patterns show something profound. The AI wasn't just linking shapes to stars or seasons. It was revealing a system of thinking, a framework for how the Olmecs understood their world, not just spiritually but scientifically. They might have been tracking soil fertility, water cycles, mineral paths, and plant growth. They might have been recording it, sharing it, and applying it with purpose. Some researchers are now calling this an early scientific system, not myth but method. Why some experts want to slow down. Many are excited by these findings, but others are sounding alarms. Not because the AI is wrong, but because the consequences of being right are too great. One concern is the timeline. If the Olmecs were doing this thousands of years ago, it means science in the Americas began much earlier than anyone imagined. That would upend the entire history of pre-Columbian knowledge. Textbooks would need rewriting. Cultures long seen as primitive would be recognized as scientific pioneers. Another worry involves the glyphs themselves. The symbols are being found not just in one region, but across vast distances. That suggests a unified symbolic language used by many groups, one that could predate all known writing systems in the Americas. It hints at widespread communication and knowledge sharing across Mesoamerica, centuries before we thought possible. But the biggest shock is what the AI may be pointing toward next: coordinates to the unknown. As researchers input more glyphs into their mapping systems, something astonishing happened. The AI began generating geographic coordinates. When these points were examined using modern satellite tools, one location stood out. East of the ancient city of La Venta, in a quiet region of Tabasco, Mexico, a strange formation appeared beneath the trees. Satellite and LiDAR scans showed patterns in the land, lines, ridges, and platforms. The shapes didn't match natural formations. They looked built, planned, buried for centuries. And here's the most chilling part. The coordinates were embedded in glyphs that also describe solstices, star paths, and shadow movements. The site's layout matched the cosmic alignments referenced in the symbols. Sunlight would strike certain points on specific days, just as the glyphs predicted. This wasn't guesswork. This was a map, one that might lead to a forgotten Olmec ceremonial center, hidden for millennia and only now uncovered by machine logic. The site is under quiet investigation. Security is tight. But radar scans suggest something vast lies beneath the surface, an entire complex buried and forgotten until the AI read the signs. Some believe it was hidden on purpose, designed to be found only by those who knew the code. Now, for the first time in history, that code is being read. The Cascal block and the limits of translation. While AI is making progress with Olmec glyphs, it's important to remember one key artifact that remains officially undeciphered. Discovered in 2006 in Veracruz, Mexico, the Cascal block is a large serpentine slab etched with 62 unique symbols. Some are repeated, some follow rows, but none have ever been truly read. When the block was first unearthed, excitement spread among archaeologists. Could this be the earliest writing in the Americas? The date around 900 BCE placed it centuries before known Mesoamerican scripts. But years passed and no breakthroughs came. Without a bilingual inscription, like the Rosetta Stone that unlocked Egyptian hieroglyphs, scholars were left guessing. What AI can and cannot do. AI tools have made huge strides in archaeology. Machines have helped restore burnt Roman scrolls and filled in missing text on broken tablets. But those successes were based on known languages with massive training data, Greek, Latin, Sumerian. That's not the case with the Olmec script. There's no library of glyphs, no dictionary, no audio or written references. That means AI is not doing translation in the traditional sense. It's not reading symbols as letters or words. Instead, it's identifying patterns, mathematical correlations between symbols and natural events, locations, or other glyphs. A knowledge system unlike our own. Traditional writing systems are built from phonetics, letters, syllables, sounds. But what if the Olmec didn't write that way? What if their symbols weren't sounds or words, but ideas, functions, and events? That's what the hybrid AI seems to suggest. These glyphs might not form sentences, but instead encode relationships between stars and seasons, soil and harvests, volcanoes and stone. This could explain why modern methods have failed. We've been looking for grammar and vocabulary, when the Olmecs may have used something more like a flow chart or a data model. The first scientific observers? Some scholars now wonder if the Olmecs were early scientists, not just artists or priests. Their glyphs may reflect a deep understanding of cause and effect, how rain affects crops, how sunlight shifts with the solstice, how heat changes rock. And they may have recorded this knowledge systematically, not through spoken stories or poetry, but through diagrams and coded symbols. This would place the Olmecs among the earliest empirical observers in the world, people who studied the land, tested its reactions, and passed that information down. Why some say we're not ready. With each new AI discovery, excitement grows, but so does anxiety. Several senior researchers have asked for caution. Some have even called for a halt to further releases until more is understood. One email leaked from an internal review said, "We're not ready for what this means." Their concerns are not just academic. They worry that if the findings are true, we may have to completely rewrite the story of intellectual development in the Americas. One theory now gaining attention is that Olmec symbols formed a standardized system used across vast distances. If true, this would suggest a network of knowledge sharing that spanned a continent. It would mean the Olmec influenced or even originated multiple traditions of science and architecture in Mesoamerica. Who owns the knowledge? As the decoding continues, a difficult question is beginning to dominate private discussions among scholars and legal experts. If quantum AI fully unlocks this ancient system, who does that knowledge belong to? This is not just a theoretical debate. The AI system was created through a partnership between university researchers and a private tech company. The algorithms are proprietary, The computing power came from private labs, but the symbols belong to a civilization that no longer exists, at least not in the way we define nation-states today. However, descendants of the Olmecs do exist. Many indigenous communities across Mesoamerica trace their heritage to ancient groups like them, and now their ancestral knowledge, encoded in symbols carved long ago, is being processed, decoded, and possibly monetized by entities outside those communities. The commercial value of ancient farming. And it's not just historical insight at stake. Some of the symbols appear to contain farming strategies tailored to tropical environments. They may hold detailed knowledge about crop rotations, soil conservation, water use, and even pest control, all developed without modern machinery or chemicals. In today's world, where climate change threatens food security, this information could be worth billions. Sacred symbols and community consent. But many of these symbols do not just record science. They are also spiritual. Some are found in ceremonial contexts. They may relate to rituals, sacred geography, or spiritual teachings passed down through generations. If AI decodes these symbols, who has the right to see or share that information? An indigenous advocate monitoring the situation put it clearly. These glyphs may carry sacred knowledge. If so, the people whose ancestors carved them must have a say in how that knowledge is used. A symbol that points the way. Among the glyphs decoded so far, one symbol appears more than any other. It's being called the gate or portal glyph. A stepped design surrounded by sun markers, it seems to function as both a directional and temporal guide. What makes it extraordinary is that it keeps appearing next to symbols that the AI interprets as coordinates and seasonal indicators. And when those coordinates are entered into mapping systems, they lead somewhere real. In one case, the AI directed researchers to a ridge in Tabasco, about 37 kilometers east of the known site of La Venta. Scans of the area revealed geometric shapes under the earth, structures that align with the solstice paths the glyphs describe. The first silent library. The idea is staggering, that ancient people could have left behind messages hidden in art that would only be understood if you knew what to look for. And now a machine may be the first reader in 3,000 years. If the AI is correct, then the Olmecs didn't just carve stone. They left behind a library, a silent, buried record of knowledge encoded not in words but in relationships between the land, the sky, and the cycles of life. Caution at the edge of discovery. Even as excitement grows, experts are reminding the world to be careful. The Cascal block still hasn't been deciphered. No peer-reviewed journal has confirmed a full translation. What the AI offers now are correlations, not conclusions. Without a Rosetta Stone, it's impossible to be certain. But the data is building. The symbols line up with real stars, real seasons, real structures. Piece by piece, the mystery is cracking open. A different kind of language. What if the Olmec didn't write in words at all? What if their symbols were meant to encode systems' relationships, movements, effects? A kind of scientific code, not a spoken language. This would explain the structure, the repetition, the precision. It would also explain why traditional translation has failed. The AI is showing us something new, a type of thinking so different from our own that it went unread for millennia until now. A door opening across time. The gate glyph, the spiral, the farming knowledge, the buried site, they all suggest the same thing, that we're entering a new conversation with the past. One not based on myths or guesses, but on data, math, and observation. This is not the end of the story, it's the beginning. More symbols are being scanned, more coordinates analyzed, more questions raised. Each discovery brings new wonder and new responsibility. We now stand at a crossroads. A machine has opened a door into a civilization we thought we had lost. What lies behind that door may reshape what we know about science, culture, and the roots of human knowledge. The conversation has begun, and for the first time in 3,000 years, the Olmec may be speaking again.